Hi everyone, welcome back to the Robertson Media Center at UVA. Today we're going to continue our introduction to the Canon C200 by discussing how to operate the camera. Always set exposure first. Because depth of field is directly affected by your aperture, only focus the camera after setting exposure. Otherwise, you'll have to focus again. Exposure can be oversimplified as how light or dark your final image is. It's actually a lot more complicated than that. First off, exposure is not a single setting. All of the following settings affect your final exposure, so you'll need to find a balance and understand which to use for what effect. We'll cover how to set exposure on any camera in detail in another video, but for now let's briefly explain each component. Aperture is the size of the iris, which adjusts how much light is being allowed to hit the sensor. Aperture is measured in f-stops or t-stops. You can set aperture using the dial on the handle. Note that you also have the option to use auto iris. Press the auto iris button, number 10, to have the camera determine the aperture. This is different than the regular auto exposure mode because it will not continue to change once it is set. This setting is perfect if you'd like to get a starting point, or if you're unfamiliar with manual exposure on a digital camera. ISO, sometimes called gain, is a sensitivity setting for a video sensor. Essentially, the higher the number, the more sensitive your sensor will be. Note that this also introduces progressively more noise. Canon recommends 800 ISO for optimal results, but we recommend just using caution when adjusting in either direction from the base 800. In low light conditions, for instance, it may be impossible not to bump up the ISO. You can change your ISO using button number 5, shown here. Shutter speed is the length of time you'll be exposing your sensor to light. Essentially, the shorter the shutter speed, the darker the image. We recommend starting with the denominator, or bottom number, as about double your frame rate. For example, at 30 frames per second, choose 1/60. To adjust, use the shutter button on the left side of the camera. The ND filter, neutral density filter, is like sunglasses for your camera. If you have too much light coming in to get your desired settings or effect, add an ND filter by pressing the plus button, or add more if desired. Then, hit the minus to remove them. Unless you have a specific reason not to, always use zebra stripes on button number 3. And turn on your waveform monitor, button number 4. Zebra stripes show the areas that are close to or completely overexposed, or in other words, too bright to be usable. Whereas the waveform monitor is a graph of light levels within your image. Use these to find a proper exposure. We'll discuss these in detail in another video. To set white balance, which is absolutely necessary to get a good image, press Function on the monitor and then use the toggle. Choose the correct color temperature. Then, you have the option of using green or magenta compensation for special lighting situations, such as fluorescent. Then focus your image. If you can, zoom all the way in on a zoom lens, or press the magnification button, number 1. Adjust the focus ring on your lens until the image is sharp. Then, again if using a zoom lens, zoom back out to the desired focal length. The C200 also has a one-shot AF button, so you can automatically find your focus. After finding focus, the camera will return to manual mode. But, as always, don't trust the camera. We recommend always checking to ensure that your focus has been accurately set. One way to do this is by digitally magnifying the image, which you can do again with the magnification button. Unlike the C100, this camera also has autofocus. If you'd like to use the touchscreen autofocus feature, watch Canon's instructional video that we've provided. Now you're ready to record. Press the record button to start and stop your recording. Coming up next, we'll look at recording audio with this camera. Stay with us.